In this video, I will be giving a tutorial on how to clone the code repository and launch the emulator after you have already installed everything and set up the environment variables. To begin, you will need to create a new folder that will store the repository that you're going to clone onto your machine. Open Visual Studio Code. Then select the Open Folder link, or go to File, Open Folder. Navigate to the folder you just created. Next, you will need to open a terminal. And here you will see that we are located in the SELENA tutorial directory that we just created. Next, you will need to navigate to the Team Bitbucket page. If not already logged in, log in with the team credentials and then navigate to the SELENA app page. Once you open the SELENA app page, you will see the most recent commits onto the master repository. You'll hit that clone button and copy the HTTPS. You could hit the button to clone in Visual Studio Code, but for this tutorial, I'll be using the Visual Studio Code terminal. So go ahead and just copy and paste that copied command into your terminal. This is going to automatically use Git to clone the repository from our Bitbucket page. As you can see, it's already added the main file folder to the left in the file tree window. And you'll just watch as your terminal tells you how far along in that download process it is. And it may take a few minutes to download the full repository. Now you can see that we have the app listed here with all of its files. Here you will have the Git Ignore page. This lists all the files and folders that will not be added to the Git push whenever you push code to the repository. So here you will see the app file, and this is kind of the main file in the React Native project. Then you will come to the screen folder, and this is where most of the app content is. You'll see most of the app is run off that home screen. Depending on your task, you'll need to navigate to various files and update the task's respective files. Make sure you take some time to go through the code and the file structure and familiarize yourself with how the app is organized. And here you will see that there's the Android folder and below the iOS folder. You shouldn't need to make changes to the Android folder or iOS folder if you're just doing normal task work, building out functionality. Next, we will need to navigate to the main folder for the app, which is the Cell app folder. And then you will need to install your node modules. So you can do this with npm-i, or I prefer yarn install. You'll see that all of the dependencies are now installing, and it might take a few minutes. Once it's complete, you'll see that the node modules file, which is grayed out, has now been added to your files. Next, you will need to go to the Android file. And once you're in the Android file directory, then you have to run Gradle wrapper. This helps to build the project. After a few minutes, you should get that build successful message. If you run into issues with this, make sure you Google the error messages and try to find a Stack Overflow article to see what your problem is and why there's a hiccup in the build. After the Gradle wrapper has successfully built, now it's time to go back to the Cell app folder. Next, you'll need to start the Metro Bundler server by running npx react native start. Once this pops up, you'll just let this sit there while you're launching the emulator. So you'll have this running in one terminal and you hit the plus button to open a new terminal. In the new terminal, you'll again need to navigate to the Cell app folder, which is your main app folder. If you try to go to the wrong folder name, you'll just get that ugly error, and then you'll have to retype the command. Next, you'll want to run npx react-native run-android. But before you run that, make sure to go into your Android Studio and launch your emulator. Because if you don't have the emulator already open when you run this command, it may cause some issues with installing the app and opening the emulator properly. So to open the emulator, go to Android Studio, then go to AVD Manager, and next you will click on the emulator you choose to use and hit the green arrow to open it. Now that your emulator is open, you'll need to power it on if it's not already turned on. Once your phone is booted, then you can go back to your terminal and run that npx react native run android command. It may take quite a few minutes for this to fully build and then install. When it installs successfully, you'll get that build successful message that pops up in this emulator. Also, if you go to the Metro emulator, or excuse me, terminal, you'll see that it'll give you server messages on what the app is doing. So once it fully installs, you'll get the green bundle message and you'll get some warnings, but as long as the app is working, then your emulator is up and running and you can test the functionality of the app, including the journal and the various curriculum content. And as you can see while you're interacting with the app, you do get messages on this server, which will be helpful whenever you're building certain features on your tasks and you need to check for debugging purposes. Thanks for watching, and if you have any remaining questions, please contact your team manager.